My name is Shez Iqbal. I've been in the industry for decades, and I was so happy to be included in this series, The PPA Presents I Found Myself in Publishing. Welcome to this series brought to you by the PPA I Found Myself in Publishing. Really pleased to have as a guest today, Beth Crane, Affiliate Director of Immediate Media. Beth, so happy to have you here today.
Really pleased to be here. Looking forward to having a great chat.
So Beth, that was a really brief introduction. I'm not the best at introductions. How about you give a better one than what I just did?
Sure. So I lead Immediate's e-commerce and partnerships team. So that means that we deliver affiliate marketing revenue for all of our digital titles and also support a range of strategic goals for the business by negotiating brand building partnerships as well.
And what does that mean? What does an average day for Beth look like, if there is an average day?
It's pretty varied. I have got a team of 13, so we have lots of different skills in the team, from editorial to sales to project management. A lot of my time is spent working on our product and data roadmap for affiliates, from reporting, from negotiating and introducing myself to new potential partners. It's really, really, really varied. But I get to work across all of our brands and with all different parts of the team, which is really exciting. So I'd say no day ever looks the same, but normally it involves an interesting conversation, whether that's about affiliate marketing on social or whether it's meeting a whole new exciting brand that we could partner with. It's always varied.
Sounds like you're wearing a lot of hats there.
Quite a few hats, yeah, but I like it like that. I come from an agency background where I'm used to having lots of clients and lots of kind of different projects on the go, and I really enjoy that.
Oh, brilliant. So I think we'll go into your role a little bit more in a minute. But before we get there, I was introduced to you through the PPA Next Gen board. Can you give a little bit of background on that initiative to the listeners?
Sure. So we are essentially a group of 30 or under 30 aged individuals from the publishing industry. So anyone that is part of a business that is a PPA member, that could be B2B or B2C, we come together to bring some new, younger and diverse voices on some of the issues that are facing our industry. So whether that is AI and the kind of potential impact on our content, or how do we actually get more diverse talent coming into our industry, we come together to work on projects to support those. We also are able to bring back insights to our own businesses as well, and sort of, bring a whole new perspective to some of the PPA's work, which already has loads of great network groups and working groups across the industry. But this one is specifically targeted at sort of younger talent and new voices.
So is it a number of very, very bright individuals around a table talking about how they can fix the industry, or is there a bit of action behind it as well?
Definitely some action. So we had some specific topics to focus on during our tenure, which is 18 months. And we split off into kind of groups to do that. And all of us have been really aligned that we really want to get some stuff done and have a bit of a legacy. So that's really exciting. There are teams working on sort of grassroots talent and how do we actually connect more people to come into our industry. My group is working on trusted content. We're actually creating some case studies around the power of community and the kind of authentic voices, and how do we use that connection with our communities to create our trusted content and really protect our value in a very quick changing media landscape. So lots of different things. We're also setting up a Next Gen network, which will be a series of events to essentially connect more than just these boards, because there's also other PPA members that are setting up their own Next Gen boards now. It's become a bit of a thing, which is amazing. But we're also trying to connect other people in this sort of demographic around our industry, create more opportunities for networking and hone those skills, which are slightly more, I guess, there are fewer opportunities to do that in this sort of hybrid working world. So it's about creating those really important conversations and allowing people to build their networks, hoping we're also going to have something like a WhatsApp group as well, and sort of really, be able to connect and share industry news. So lots of other initiatives and spin-offs that I think, but we are the first cohort. So it's definitely been a learning experience for everyone.
I have to say that was, of course, a loaded question. The reality is that I had the opportunity to meet a number of you from the board, and the energy in the room was fantastic. It was palatable, right? You could really feel it. There's a a definitive drive to, exactly as you say, get stuff done, move things forward, and absorb as much of the knowledge as you can from each other. What I really appreciated from what I could see, having been in the industry for a while, was there were so many people from various different publishers around the table sharing experiences, sharing their insight, sharing their knowledge, which is, 20 years ago, perhaps you wouldn't see that as much. People would hold their cards a little bit closer to their chest, but it's fantastic to see this leadership team being open and transparent and allowing everyone to grow together.
Definitely. It's been so valuable to hear different perspectives, and working very much in the kind of consumer media space, actually learning from our B2B friends as well and colleagues has been so interesting. It's a completely different type of content, and that's been really, really valuable for us.
So you strike me, Beth, as someone who really enjoys the job that you do. Whenever you talk about your role, or whenever we've caught up, you sort of light up a bit. You're always working on something particularly interesting or exciting. I think I've heard you say the word exciting a couple of times today already. How did you start off in the industry?
I think I've always had an interest in the publishing space and magazine media. I actually finished university and won an L writing competition, but I decided I didn't want to go down the editorial route. I ended up, quite interested in where digital media was going and wanted to learn some more marketing skills. So I set up a blog and started to teach myself a little bit about SEO, and kind of landed my first role in an SEO agency and worked for another one after that as well. So I really wanted to gain some subject matter expertise. So that was all about SEO content strategy. I was working for brands like Uber and Uber Eats. And then I essentially took all of those skills back into this industry when there was a great role available that literally had the exact same job title, but working in publishing at the time. So it was great. I knew nothing about affiliate marketing though when I joined Immediate. So that has all been learning since I joined the industry.
And how different was it working at Uber or Uber Eats to working at a publishing house?
So working with those clients, agency side, is super different because you can't quite ever see the impact of the work you're doing, right? You're kind of delivering projects, and we had a great relationship with those guys, but I really wanted to work in-house and experience the impact of the work I was doing firsthand. So that's a big difference. But as I said, it's quite busy in my role now because we get to juggle lots of different brands, and that is similar to agency life, where you get to work with lots of different clients and have lots of different projects at once. So I love that. But for me, definitely being able to have the kind of direct impact and see that and really carry projects through start to finish is what I really enjoy.
And I'm going to assume that taking that jump or that leap from agency to the publishing side was one of maybe the key milestones within your career so far. But if you were to share a few, what would they look like?
It definitely was. It was a completely different environment to work in. Immediate has a fantastic culture that's very, very different, which I love. I've been fortunate to have a few bits of recognition while I've worked in publishing. I had our newcomer award at Immediate when I joined. I've had actually one of the PPA 30 under 30s now Next Gen, and now I'm on this board, which has been really fantastic. So I feel like there's been lots of opportunity to really get involved in this industry, which has been brilliant to kind of expand my knowledge and horizons. I think other sort of milestones is that I've managed a team since my agency days, but with Immediate, there's been such brilliant support for becoming a better leader and a better manager. And I'm really, really proud of being part of the story to grow this team and be recognised as a team that's quite innovative in the business. I'd say it's also probably been a big part of my journey of honing those skills while I've been in publishing. And I think it's been a really supportive place to do that. And I like to think that I've improved since I've been here, and I'm really proud of the team that I have now.
And what does that improvement look like when you talk about you've improved since you've been there?
I think I've had some great role models and female leaders actually, and some really great support. There's also been a lot of investment in Immediate's leadership teams because of the kind of digital transformation and the journey that we're going on as a business. So it's about how do we all become prepared to accept that our world is changing very quickly? How do we manage teams through that? I think I've learned a lot about that everyone has very different drivers and motivators, and understanding how to have different conversations with different people. understanding how to be more empathetic as a leader as well, and realizing, again, everyone is different, everyone approaches things differently. How do I approach things? Why is someone coming up with something different? So there's been loads and loads of different things, but really fortunate that it's a business where the leaders are taking that kind of role modeling really seriously, and are kind of setting the standard of how we want to show up. And I think there's been some great examples that I've learned from people I've worked with, and then just some real investment in all of our personal development, which I really enjoy, that kind of stuff, and really getting into, my character and then kind of tearing that apart a bit and understanding myself better. So I do think that that's been hugely valuable in the last couple of years.
Yeah, there does seem to be a bit of a trend in terms of more coaching, more mentoring, a little bit more analysis into the characters of individuals to make sure you get the perfect team together, or at least a better, more cohesive team together, and of course support leaders as well. Is there any particular training that you went on, or any particular initiatives that you would like to call out that works well for you?
We had some external trainers come in and take all of our kind of extended leadership group through, and that was a period of, I think it was 5 days over months. There was also a lot of homework, there was shadowing. It was very intense, but it was so rewarding. I can't 100% remember the name of the agency that did that, but they were brilliant. So we are really trying to have a coach approach in development conversations that we have with people around the business. I've actually joined our internal coaching network now, so going through training as well to be able to have those conversations, understand when it moves from mentoring to coaching. And that's just really helpful for, hopefully supporting other people around the business, but then you can kind of apply that to yourself and think about, okay, well, how would I now approach things differently if I was asking myself those questions? So super valuable on all levels. But I think, definitely been some external investment with some great people that have come in. But also, I would say as a business, maybe less so around leadership, but we've also been doing a lot of innovation days and connection days where we have some inspiring speakers that come in. And I think that just helps you kind of keep inspired and think about, different approaches and how successful leaders or kind of people in business have approached things. And I think that's great, just to keep the top up inspiration, I guess.
Topping up inspiration sounds fantastic. I think that everyone could do with a little bit of that. And coaching as well. I'm a huge advocate of coaching. So great to hear that Immediate Media is investing so much in coaching, and that you're looking into that as well.
Definitely. I think I'm sounding like a walking advertisement at the moment for media.
That's what we want. We want that, right? I think Immediate Media is a great organisation, and of course we're talking about the virtues of publishing. So it's great to be able to hear so many positive things about such a fantastic publishing organisation. So, of course, whilst they are great, and I'm sure you've enjoyed your career to date, there are times when we face certain challenges. Are there any challenges in particular that come to mind, or any challenges that you faced, and perhaps you can talk a bit to that and a bit about how you overcame them?
Sure. I think you always have difficult times if you lead an area of the business or a team. You've always got to make some really hard decisions, or maybe your trading performance isn't where you want it to be, but I think those things just make you more resilient. So I'd probably say that my role has kind of, there's lots of things that have been added onto it over the years and expanded quite quickly. So I think probably the challenges are always stretching into new areas, and that's definitely not unique to me, as we all, go on this journey of discovering, how people want to consume content now, and et cetera, we've always got to keep learning, and things move very quickly. So I think the challenge has probably been accepting that you can't have all of the answers all of the time, especially if you're learning about a new area. That's okay. Kind of being a bit comfortable with that, that unknown, or those sort of adaptive challenges that you're coming across that no one necessarily has the answer for. So it's, being comfortable that when you come from a very subject matter expertise background, such as SEO and content strategy, when you know your stuff, you go into something new and you don't know your stuff yet, you've kind of got to kind of get comfortable with that learning journey. And I think that's been definitely kind of a challenging mindset, but really something that I've learned a lot about as well over the last couple of years.
Yeah, not to go back too much on the coaching, but I imagine that some of that coaching has quite helped you in recent times. Then the experience that you had going from agency to publishing must have really put you in a bit of the deep end in terms of sitting on the other side of the table and realizing things are in slightly different places.
Definitely. I mean, when you've got to have the full ownership of everything, it's obviously a much more a bigger scope. And I think, I knew nothing about affiliate when I came in. I don't think many people really know what that means until you get into it. So that was definitely a big learning. Also, when I'm working in strategic partnerships, how to structure these deals, things like that, there's definitely a lot of learning. But you're right, the coaching, kind of having that growth mindset of what we've learned a lot about and how to kind of positively challenge yourself has really, really helped on that. And kind of, being okay with not knowing all the answers. All of us senior leadership team admit they don't always have all the answers, and that's okay. So I think it's been a really great lesson.
Being okay with not knowing all the answers, that's a great soundbite for anybody. Okay, so what makes publishing a great industry to work in?
I think there's a couple of things. Consumer media is a really positive space. I think you're connecting with audiences with what they are passionate about. And, you can see that so much when we worked through the COVID years, when people, we've got good food, people were cooking banana bread, that recipe's traffic went crazy. Then we have got BBC Gardener's World magazine, and that is all about, people getting outside, getting their hands into the soil. And we really connect with people over their passions and their hobbies. And that's a really positive space to be in, where there's so much negative news in the world. It's actually being part of media, which is how people want to spend their free time. And, that's a really nice place to be in. I think also, and I've mentioned it a bit, but I love that it's constantly evolving and that it's changing. I think it's such an exciting, not static at all industry. There's a lot of transformation, taking place at the moment. So I think I just love that, there's always something new to learn, and there's always, something new to discover, a trend or a new platform or something. And I think you can really, if you like to kind of keep on top of, digital and how kind of audiences and consumers consume content and services and products, it's just a great place to be, because you're kind of at the intersection of how they're spending their time every day. So it's a really great insight into what, consumers in the UK are up to. So I find it really interesting.
Well, that leads me quite nicely into my next question. But before I get into that, so were you one of the people that made banana bread during the pandemic?
Well, I've always actually enjoyed baking, so I definitely did, and a lot of other things as well. But it was crazy, like the volume of traffic.
Brilliant. We'll have to have a little PPA bake-off competition or something like that set up at some point. Okay, so you were going into a little bit about the current trends and transformation. Maybe we can take a moment to speak a bit about that. What are the current trends that you're seeing within the industry?
Gosh, there's a lot of things changing quickly. I think if I zoom in on my background, having worked in SEO, when I joined publishing, there was still a lot of focus on really maximizing the traffic opportunity from Google, upskilling a lot of editorial teams to understand how to optimize content for search engines and audiences. But I think now we're at the place where we're all actually very reliant on our organic traffic from Google, and Google is really changing up their algorithms. They are introducing Gen AI results. There are lots of things we're seeing that are going to impact and are already impacting the clicks that publishers will get from their biggest channel. So I think that's really interesting, that the story isn't just about, I guess, winning on one channel. It's having a real multi-channel approach and really showing up where the audiences are on new platforms. And that means you've got to be really agile and really get out there quickly to try new things. And I think one thing we talk about a lot is that it's not print first, digital first, social first, whatever. You've just got to be in the right places for where your audience are. And that actually is a multitude of places right now. So definitely seeing that kind of journey of SEO and organic traffic, and now how we acquire traffic, is changing massively.
You talk a lot about SEO and, of course, the affiliate side of things. And traditionally, when we think about publishing, we perhaps don't think about those two areas and the need to ensure that your traffic is optimized for social or for search engines or any sort of traffic sources. How does that feel in a traditional publishing house to talk about those components? Is your voice heard? Is it loud and clear, or is it one small component of a large strategy and a large mix?
It's definitely a really varied business at Immediate. I think there's definitely been a lot more focus on some of the growing digital channels since I've been there. When I came in, we were really establishing the affiliate team. It was a very new kind of idea, although we were probably a little bit later to really getting that off the ground than some of the other publishers. So I'd say, yeah, it definitely is one of many things we're up to, but traffic is obviously, crucial for our advertising revenue, and that is a major focus. But I think it's becoming that the kind of KPIs that everyone is working to are much more granular now. There's a lot more of them, and it isn't just sort of your top level revenue target every month. There's all these different components that go into creating that. So I think there's probably greater awareness around the business of all of those components. But it's a juggling act. There's only so much time in the day, and so many different opportunities that our editorial teams can support with. So it definitely is having to know, okay, when is it an affiliate opportunity? When is it advertising? When is it strategic partnerships? Or when is it, engagement, or, traffic growth, audience growth, subs acquisition? There's so many different things to balance at once. So I think it's just having that prioritization at the right time, really.
And with that in mind, how much of your role is more educational based? So educating maybe clients or internal stakeholders on when it is an affiliate opportunity?
I guess, yeah, to an extent, a fair bit, but I've got a brilliant team now that have taken on a lot of that kind of day-to-day training around the business and a kind of content strategy side of things, probably doing some of the role that I was doing when I first joined. So now it's probably actually a lot of my time spent on looking at those bigger opportunities and strategic partnerships. So thinking about where the brands are going as a whole and what our goals are as a business, and really spending time to understand those for each of our titles, and then going out and having some really exciting conversations and learning about the challenges and objectives of other businesses that we could work with. So probably I'd say it's about sharing a lot more of those insights now, whereas I think there's good awareness of what we need to do in affiliate, but there's always that juggling act, and I think my team do a brilliant job of sort of navigating, when to really push for it to be an affiliate opportunity and when it's something else. So yeah, I think it's evolved.
All right, so let's stick to the exciting conversations and that evolution. So where do you see the future of publishing going? Have you got any predictions?
I think not to be too repetitive, but we definitely just need to be showing up in the places where our audiences are, whatever platform that is, in whatever format that is. There's definitely not just the kind of print and online article anymore. That we've got video content, we've got podcasts, there's so many different formats of content and media that we need to kind of create. So it's definitely going to be, I think, going more in that direction. And I think community and creating really authentic sort of spaces for our audiences, and really doubling down on the trusted voices that we have for being publications that have existed for a really long time. You've got Radio Times that has existed for over 100 years. We're really fortunate to have some great legacy brands. So I think, and lots of our kind of other media houses have the same. I think it's about really doubling down on that, because there's so much new content, so many new ways to communicate with audiences, but they don't necessarily have that advantage of that legacy. So how do we kind of capitalize on that, show that we're trusted voices? And I think there's definitely more we can do to bring our talent, our internal talent, and our editors, et cetera, to the forefront of what we're creating, because obviously that's what a lot of people have responded so well to on social, seeing that human face. So I definitely feel like we can do more to put more of a face to a lot of content that we're doing across our industry, and create that direct kind of moment of human connection. So, but again, in what format and where, we'll keep changing, and we're always exploring new places where our audiences might be, and also looking to kind of younger audiences as we see the kind of shifting demographics of those buying print magazines. Where are the younger audiences hanging out, and how can we speak to them? You've obviously then got AI and the massive impact that will have on our industry, whether that's really on the positive side of creating, user-facing tools that will drive engagement with our brands and help our audiences in new ways, or whether it's, time-saving, editorial workflow or processes, or, whatever it is. There's some huge benefits, but there's also risks to manage. And, as I've already mentioned with Google, showing up and answering questions using AI, that means no one has to click on any publisher content. It will have an impact. So I think that's obviously definitely something that's every day unfolding, right? And we'll see where that takes us. But I think there's a huge opportunity to utilize that to enrich the experiences that we deliver in new ways.
So there's a lot of conversation about AI. I feel like when AI was first introduced into the conferences as an agenda item, the first thing people were saying was, oh no, AI is going to take over journalism, AI is going to take over all the editorial content. And of course, that's not, I don't believe, likely. If you're after quality journalism, then you can't rely on AI for that. Maybe AI can be some of the tools that you use. But how does AI show up as a tool for you at Immediate, or perhaps within your own current role?
We are exploring lots of things, like I'm sure a lot of our publishers across the industry are. We've had some fantastic days of innovating, generally using ChatGPT or whatever it is to create things for our audience, to test things out. So there's definitely an appetite to just go and try things and see whether we can create something new. We're definitely using it for some internal processes as well to speed things up across all different areas, right, including HR. There's so many projects and things going on. I've been looking into something with one of our partners that would allow us to do food and wine pairing, for example, by kind of vectorizing some of our content and serving those sort of relevant matches. So there's so many examples of things that we could be doing. But I think it's great that Immediate has really got behind everybody and given us some dedicated time to explore and play. Obviously, day-to-day can help you with those small tasks and bits and pieces too. In my world, an affiliate as well, I think recommendations and product recommendations and suggesting alternatives for products that people might want to explore, all of those kind of things will really improve with this. Image product recommendations. So if you see a lovely, house or a scene, and then there's a suggestion of get the look, you can see the products that are in there. There's so many bits and pieces like that I think will really enrich what we're able to do. But definitely, in terms of just having that slightly more personalized experience for our audiences by giving them something a bit more tailored, because we've got, the ability to give them really, really smart recommendations of what to read next or what to buy next or what to do next, etc., which I think is really exciting.
That is really exciting. That sounds like a fantastic use of AI, to be honest with you. The idea of pairing your drinks with your food, or the image recognition. It's I almost wonder why we haven't thought of that already. That's great. Okay, so lots of new people coming. You mentioned, of course, the fantastic work of the PPA Next Gen board, the award that you got, as well as a new leader as well, or a young leader. What advice would you give to new people joining the industry right now?
I think be really, really curious. There's so many different things and roles that you can do within our industry. So although I work so close with all areas of our business, you could be working in editorial, advertising, finance. There's so many different things. So be really curious and learn as much as you can about maybe where you want to go. And then if you are kind of going into editorial or marketing, etc., there's so much online content to learn a little bit more about that, to set yourself apart, do some self-learning. That's exactly what I did when I was starting to learn about SEO. You can teach yourself quite a lot and then stand out that little bit more in quite a competitive job market. And then I'd say when you do enter this industry, stay super curious again, because your job will change a lot. What I did when I first came in is very different now. Things move very, very quickly. There will always be new opportunities. And I think you've got to be in that mindset of not, signing up, this is my job spec day one, and then the next year being like, oh, that's not what I signed up for, because it won't be, it will change. And so I think being comfortable with that and staying curious, wanting to learn, having that kind of open growth mindset will take you really, really far, because we all have to keep learning and moving.
Yeah, there was advice that I was given many moons ago, which is once you've landed the job that you want, start working for the next job that you'd like to have. And I don't know if that resonates with you, but it feels like you're constantly sort of investing in your personal development, that the organization's supporting you in that. And it's not that you're looking for the next gig. It's more about the fact that you want to grow, you want to stay on top of your role and just remain innovative. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. Like, I don't actually really want to be pigeonholed in one area in the future. I want to keep learning as much as possible and be able to bring value in different ways. And I think when you start to lead a team, you obviously honing some kind of wider commercial skills as well, which is great. But yeah, just surrounding yourself with smart people you can learn from, trying to say yes to opportunities, to immerse yourself in new things. It keeps your brain going as well if you keep challenging yourself to learn something different. Otherwise you become probably a little bit complacent. But yeah, definitely, I think this is what I'm doing now and it's brilliant, but it won't be what I'm doing forever because we have to keep moving and changing, and this industry will change. So who knows where it goes, but I'm excited to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I can feel that. Out of interest, what do you tell your parents that you do?
That's a good question. Well, they all understand the brands that we work for, because obviously they're super. I've got parents that watch Gardeners World on TV. They know, they understand that. I think my mum understands it a little bit more in terms of SEO. She kind of came across that in her career a little bit. She worked in hotel consultancy and asset management, and obviously they had to deal with the sites and stuff like that. So she kind of gets that. And I think both my parents were very strong commercial kind of leaders or had very kind of commercial roles and successful careers. So they definitely understand all the kind of day-to-day team stuff, commercial stuff. But I would say, yeah, probably the nitty-gritty is quite hard to explain in affiliate. I think they kind of get, but it is quite hard to explain to people what that really means, and that we actually make suggestions based on all the products that we test in-house, and it's all very considered expert guidance. We're not just sort of, putting any old thing in content. It's very considered. So yeah, I don't know. I think they overall, I think they kind of got it. But, as I said, it's moving quickly, so they can't keep up with that if they're not in it as well.
Yeah, I only asked because my mum thought I was a journalist for the first few years, and I wasn't. I was on the commercial side, so I'm always keen to hear people's thoughts on that.
I tend to say commercial team, generally.
Yeah, I think that's good advice for anyone starting off. Make sure that you label where it is that you're working, but don't pigeonhole yourself as well.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate you calling out the fact that there are many departments within publishing. So if you're a big fan of quality journalism and you want to work for a particular publishing house or whatever it might be, if you're in finance, if you're in HR, if you're in operations, if you're in commercial, if you're a journalist, there are roles for so many different individuals within the industry.
Yeah, I think there's so much more than even I realised. Even if you think about production of how to get a magazine made, there's so much, and yeah, probably still areas of our business that I could learn more about. There's so much there. So yeah, definitely, if you're interested in the titles and the content that's being created, there's definitely a role in there.
Yeah, and that passion comes through, right? If you're passionate about that content that's being created, and I think it just gives you a little bit more of a buzz to say, well, look, I work here.
Definitely.
Okay, so I've really enjoyed the conversation. I want to thank you for your time. But before you leave, let me know, what would you like people to take away from this conversation and this discussion?
It's definitely about embracing new challenges, leaning into change, continuing to learn and be kind of excited about that. I think also that just this industry is a fantastic one to be part of. It's changing quickly, and yeah, I think it can really tick a lot of boxes for people in terms of growth and opportunity. And I think probably to squash some of those maybe misconceptions that print is a dying medium and that the industry is on its legs or whatever people might think, which isn't true at all. We will continue to show up in the places where people want to hear from us and consume content. And actually, there's so much learning to do, and there's so much innovation happening in this industry that, yeah, if you've got that mindset, it's a great place to be. So that's probably what I would say.
Brilliant. Thank you, Beth. I've really appreciated your time. Thank you for the conversation.